Welcome to Paw Print Academy, your blueprint to raising better dogs. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your host for this journey. I've got my trusty co-host here, Brianna.
Hello.
And together we're bringing you real-world training insights built on leadership, structure, and proven methods. We record this podcast with live clients on the line in one take with live, unscripted questions and answers. At the end of the day, this podcast is a lot more than just teaching your dog to sit or stay. It's about building trust, creating calmness, and becoming the kind of leader your dog truly needs. We do that with our 3-pillar method of trust, obey, and perform. Together, we'll show you how these 3 pillars shape every step of training. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. Hey there, episode 37. We are putting together the proofing episode here. So, proofing commands in real life: distance, duration, and distraction. That is the title of the episode for today. Welcome to the Paw Print Academy. And tonight, real quick, real fun or exciting, encouraging turn of events. We got our first, we completely kind of revamped the RSVP ability for these podcast sessions through our app, thepawprintacademy.com. It is a web app. We are putting together a native app for iOS and Android that will hopefully get released here in the next couple of weeks. But for right now, we're still on a web app. So you go to the website, thepawprintacademy.com. And if you want to listen in live as we're recording, so you can be part of the question and answer sessions and part of the discussion as the podcast is filming, you can do that. You can do it completely for free. It doesn't cost you a thing. All you got to do, go to the website, create a user ID. All you need is an email. It'll send you a code, you verify it, and you're in. Go to the events section, and in the events and announcements section, there's going to be an RSVP button that you can, there'll be an RSVP button that you are able to RSVP into the show. And then you can be part of the conversation, and part of the discussion. So as when we get to that part, we'll unmute our listeners here and we'll start talking about any questions that they have, and we'll talk through whatever else is going on that we need to talk about. But today is about proofing, and I am really excited about this episode. The reason is because proofing drives reliability. And when we talk about reliability in dog training, it's the difference between when I say, my dog, it listens to me when we're in the living room, and then suddenly when we're outside or we're at the park, I call my dog and they don't come back. Reliability is built through proofing. And almost always when somebody tells me that their dog is very, very obedient as long as they have treats, it tells me there's probably a proofing issue.
Yeah.
Because it's not an understanding issue. It's not a communication issue at that point. Now it's a motivation issue. And proofing helps bridge those motivational issues. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah. All right, so let's jump into it. So a command is not fully trained until your dog can perform it reliably despite an increasing distance, a longer duration, and greater distractions. That's what we're talking about tonight. And obedience is really built through that proofing concept. It's not just the repetition that happens in the living room. It's not just the repetition of sending your dog to their crate or to their place bed or whatever else is going on there. It has it has so much more to it than that. And as we get into it for our science lesson for today, right? The two words that I want to talk about.
Give them to me. Let's hear them.
Right. Two words. They're all over the CPDT KA exam. Mm-hmm. So those two words are discrimination and generalization. Now, these are dog trainer specific words, but they're what dog owners observe all the time. Discrimination describes the ability for the dog to discriminate between commands. So that means when you say sit, the dog does not down. The dog sits. Nope. That's discrimination. They know the word sit means sit and the word down means down. Cool. Well, generalization means that a down means a down in the living room, and it means a down in the backyard, and it means a down on the driveway.
Yep.
And at the brewery, and at the park, and everywhere. Generalization is most of the time what dogs lack because owners can see, feel, touch, and like it's more real to them, this concept of discrimination.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, well, this is easy. I said place and my dog sat down. I'm like, oh, well, that's silly. I gotta practice this. Cool. That's easy. But generalization is this other concept that we forget about, or I see people forget about, and they train always in their backyard.
Yeah, and just a sterile environment.
Or they train always at this certain park. Mm-hmm. Or they train always somewhere.
Yeah.
Then they go somewhere else and the dog's like, what?
Yep.
What do you want? Because to the dog, the picture of all the variables is different. Mm-hmm. And when the picture's different, they're going to act different. All right. So that is our episode in a nutshell. Number one.
I think.
You got more?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think here we see it a lot with the beach. People will always be like, my dog listens everywhere but at the beach. They're just so excited at the beach. It's like, right, how often do you go to the beach and actually train your dog, though?
Right, because you're going to the beach and when you go to the beach with your dog, not everybody, but some people, yeah. You're on vacation or you're relaxing or you're there for you.
Right, you're going for a walk.
Right, you're going for a walk and you want your dog to be part of it, but you're trying to relax yourself.
Right.
You're not there to train. Mm-hmm. And because you haven't taken those few opportunities to train at first, now your dog struggles to show you competence in something that previously you thought they were.
Yeah.
And then that breeds frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, well, what are we going to do about this? All right. Just because your dog, first point I had written down, just because your dog can sit in your kitchen doesn't mean they understand sit at the park, right? In a pet store or at a family gathering. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what we already talked about. To continue to kind of bolster that point, everywhere you go, the first time that you do something brand new, it's different to your dog.
Yeah.
And so the first time your dog lays down on a linoleum floor versus a wood floor versus the grass versus the concrete, it's different.
Yeah.
And we think that the dog understands the word because they perform the action. So we think, oh, they know that sit means sit, right? Put their butt on the ground. But that's not always what they're performing. And sometimes they may think and go through, because you've only trained in the living room, that sit feels, looks, and is performed a certain way with very specific little variables. Well, as soon as we change those, now the whole movement is completely different to the dog.
Yeah.
And then we go sit, and they're like, never heard of it.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah. Where? Where is sit? And it throws us off.
Yeah.
It throws us off. We're like, that. And this is where
Right.
who does No Bad Dogs?
Tom Davis.
Tom Davis does a little skit about come on, you know this. You know this. And super funny because you'll see this all the time. Oh, they know it. They're just a little nervous. They're just this, they're just that. But is this the first time you've had them lay down at the brewery?
Yeah.
Well, if so, you just got to work through it, but that's okay. Just show them that down also means lay down in the brewery.
Right, but if you haven't translated any of that communication yourself and you've just worked the dog like verbally into just listening to the word, then it's a lot more difficult for sure.
Right. So the environment is always going to be linked in the dog's mind and associated to those behaviors. And so every new location, it's another opportunity to teach the exact same lesson.
Yep.
That is the first concept of proofing. And what we want to do to be fair to the dog is we want to change one variable at a time. This allows your dog to succeed without becoming overwhelmed. Because if you go from I have started ranking, I'm trying to think through this. I've started ranking different environments, basically like grade school.
Yeah.
Right? With grades attached. Because I've seen trainers do the number system and like, well, this is a 1, this is a 2 through 5, whatever. Okay, I got it. But I think it makes it real easy when you're like, cool, the living room, you're in kindergarten. You're teaching your dog their ABCs, their colors, their 1, 2, 3s, how to sound things out. But then we've got to go to 1st and 2nd grade long before we go to the park and we put them in a local community college class.
Yeah.
It's too much too fast. And Lowe's, which is every dog owner seems to be their favorite place to go because it's naturally everyone pictures that when they go, oh, a dog friendly place. Oh, I can go to Lowe's. Nothing against Lowe's.
Yeah.
But Lowe's is a terrible place to start at the very beginning because your dog never gets to just calm down.
Yep.
You're always moving. Where do you sit down at Lowe's?
Right.
Nowhere.
Yeah,
You're walking
things.
through. Right. You're trying to find things.
You have no idea where you're going, but your dog is supposed to follow you around.
Right.
You're like, I don't know what aisle I need to be on.
Right. And your dog for sure picks up on those things.
Yeah.
And then no one else knows where they're going either. They're all looking all around for what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So the concept of working out in public and Lowe's being the very first thing's not my favorite. Doesn't mean you can't do it. Doesn't mean that your dog won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Every dog is different. But that's not my first go-to.
Right.
I like to pick places where I say, if you could go there and you could work remotely and you could concentrate and you could do your work, then your dog could work.
Yeah.
Pick a spot like that.
Yep. Yeah, those are good spots.
Coffee shops are great.
Yeah, you can do
Quiet coffee
breweries during
shops,
the day. They're
breweries
not really busy or
early
anything.
when they first open.
Yep.
Great opportunity.
Yeah. Smaller outdoor restaurants are usually totally fine. Because also those are places where you're not going to see a ton of other dogs, right? And so the less amount of dogs that you see, the more that your dog can focus in on you usually.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Question I wrote down. So how we talked about that one. We talked about why generalization is such an overlooked part of dog training because it's the invisible part. Discrimination is easy to see and zone in on. Generalization is this concept that's kind of lurking behind. And so when owners feel like their dog just forgot everything as soon as they leave the house, they're just staring generalization in the face.
Yeah.
That answers both questions. So we let's move on. Just in the interest of time, we'll move on to our second major point here, and then I want to open it up for some discussion on some of this stuff. So, distance. So we kind of talked through that, the first concept of generalization and discrimination, but now we get into like the 3 Ds of dog training, and those Ds are what make up proofing, right? Distance, duration, and distraction. Those are the 3 most major variables that we can adjust and kind of dial in order to work through things with our dog. Distance means your dog can obey even when you're several feet away instead of standing right next to him. The closer you are to your dog, the more your dog feels like you have accountability of their actions, right?
Yep.
Because you could very easily affect a change in whatever they're doing, right? They get off of their place bed, you could put them back on place because you're right there. So incorporating more and more distance away from them is an important variable we got to work on. Next, duration. Duration is the means that your dog can maintain a command while continuing to do that command until released, instead of them deciding when they're finished. Finally, distraction is where your dog chooses to follow your direction over whatever else is happening around them. And that one is the trickiest one. That one will get you, right? Because I've seen lots of people, I can put my dog on place, I can walk all the way in the other room.
Right.
And everyone's always proud of that.
So
and that's cool.
Yeah.
But then the doorbell rings.
Yeah.
Now it's all over.
Yep.
That's the distraction part. So
things can just escalate so quickly.
Right. So we're gonna jump into this conversation, but I also want to open it up for anyone who wants to jump in. So before I do that, trying to increase all 3 at once is absolutely a recipe for failure.
Bananas.
Because if you walk away from your dog, you set a timer and you go ring the doorbell and toss spill food in the other room and toss a Frisbee across, it's likely that we can make any dog break.
Yeah.
That being said, that's a real concept. We can make any dog break a command. So it's on us to slowly move the needle, to slowly add more distance, more duration, more distraction. That is how we train a dog. Because if we push them past their threshold, their level of competence, and they break, now we've reinforced. We've taken one step back because we've reinforced something other than success. And it doesn't mean that it's non-negotiable. Well, we reinforced failure, now we failed. It just means that we didn't win that one. And we want to win as many as we can. In fact, the fastest way to train your dog is to win every time. Yeah. Now, it's not realistic to win every time, but if you only win and you never lose, your dog will get trained real fast. But in order to do that, you've got to have such brilliance in those little basics, and you have to take such baby steps that your dog always succeeds. What is super crazy, right, going right back into the science on this one, is that when we get if we never let our dog fail, because we only make them succeed from day 1 till day 1,000.
Yeah.
What they've found is mammals, just in general, humans are the exact same way, but mammals will end up not working hard.
Yeah.
Right? Because we always win. And so what will end up happening is we'll actually see some regression at a certain point.
Yeah.
It's not early. It's not in the first few weeks. It's probably not even the first month or two. But eventually we'll start seeing some regression. And what we have to do is we have to up the difficulty level enough that our dog fails. The science says about 15% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
If we nail down dogs failing 15% of the time, which is crazy because people are like, well, I never want my dog to fail. Yeah, actually, the science would disagree.
Yeah.
We want our dogs to fail just a little bit and then drop in with that reward and that praise and all of those things when they succeed. What that does is it shows the dog that they still have to stay engaged. They still have to work. They still have to push hard for those rewards. So we want to eventually get to that 85-15 ratio, but that's more advanced.
Yeah.
I just want to put it out there because recently there's been some crazy trainer wars on facts and figures and science and all these things.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to partake in all of those shenanigans, but I do want to make sure that our advice is grounded in actual research and stuff. Yeah. So, okay. I am going to open it up for any questions that we've got so far. And let's talk about proofing. Has anybody, and anybody can jump in and share, but anybody had issues with proofing or seen this concept of discrimination versus generalization in their own dogs? What have you seen?
So I was going to say that I think distraction really gets a lot of people because they don't prep enough in a controllable environment and then throw the dog into an environment where the distractions are out of your control. So that can be whether you're in a space where you can't see every angle and a dog comes out of nowhere. It can be you're not prepared to tell someone no to not interrupt your dog during an exercise and they reach out and randomly pet your dog and catch them off guard. But I think that's one of the big missing pieces is we throw in all these distractions and people will be like, I will get down on the ground and I'll be like, oh my gosh, what a cute puppy while the dog is on place. And some people are like, well, that's not really fair to the dog. But is it? Because if you think nobody's going to get down on the ground and distract your dog to that degree, then, I'll be honest, you're wrong. People will touch your dog and reach for your dog and be on the ground with your dog without asking your permission. So if you haven't proofed your dog for that with you doing it right in front of their face and rewarding them for not interacting, then there's no chance that they're going to be able to fight off a stranger randomly coming at them if you're not prepared for it either. So I think the level of distractions that people have to get to when they're the ones running the reps might seem really, really silly. And I'll tell people, I always test dogs in evals and I'll pretend to tie my shoe and see how close to the ground I can get before the dog is like, oh my God, they're going to pet me. And no dog in evals really pass that challenge because it's really hard. Not. But if you're not willing to do those things, somebody else is going to do that to your dog. And if you're not there to show them how to handle it and don't beforehand, then you're kind of setting your dog up for an environment that they're not really prepared for. So there's going to be things that you might not think of, but there's also lists of different distractions and things like that you can find and you can run your dog through. But the crazier, the better.
Yeah, love that. All right, so let's jump into major point number 3. Proofing creates reliability, but not perfection. And this is super important to talk about too, because I get messages, people looking for dog training, and I'll ask them hey, cool, what are you looking for? And people will be like, I want 100% reliability. I want 100% trust that my dog is going to come back and listen to what I say and do what I say every single time that I say something. And I'm like, okay. So now you're talking about competition level obedience, right? We're no longer talking about house pet stuff because they do competitions to see if your dog will listen to you 100% of the time, every time perfectly, exactly how you do it with distractions and all these things. So you're literally talking about a competition level dog.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get that in 6 weeks.
Right.
You could get it for sure. And also some dogs, you might get it in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? There's dogs that are just genetically predisposed. They're like, hey, I just want to be part of a team. I just want to hang out.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Oh, yeah, cool. Sit. Love that. I love to sit. But there's most dogs aren't that. And that doesn't mean they're bad dogs. It doesn't mean anything. Like, name a human that you can tell to do anything, anytime, and they just do it, and there's no like ifs, ands, or buts.
Right.
That's not even real, right? You're talking about like a military robot.
Right. And with dogs, you have to think about like your tone, all of that stuff goes into it. So if you're asking your dog to do things differently, then they're probably going to do them differently.
Right. So mistakes during the proofing, you've got to take that as information. You can't just take those mistakes as, oh, my dog is blowing me off, or, oh, my dog is trying to subvert my authority. You're thinking about this and you're taking it too personally. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of variables that can come into play. And when a dog doesn't do what you ask, the thing that I try to teach everybody when I teach lessons is I need you to ask yourself first. The first question is, how can I be more clear? Because if you can figure out how you can be more clear to your dog and you can ask again, but with clarity, it's like 8 or 9 times out of 10, that dog does exactly what you ask.
Yeah.
At the point where you've taught them and you've reinforced, and like when we're at the proofing stage. Mm-hmm. Next, if your dog struggles and you've increased your clarity, the next step is to simplify the exercise slightly.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're too advanced and the dog's just not getting it.
Right. We might see it as simple, but sometimes there's way more steps to it for the dog than we can really see.
So don't repeat. Don't just repeat the command louder. Don't just say it more frustrated. And also leave the emotion out of it. Mm-hmm. You have to leave the emotion out of it. It has to just be a ones and zeros, like binary game.
Yeah.
By doing that, your dog will see that you are calm, and it's more of just, oh, I didn't do the right thing. Okay, we'll do this. Oh, all right, I did that. And the relationship stays good.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then lastly here, reliability comes from hundreds of successful repetitions across many different environments, short little sessions, not marathon training sessions.
Yeah.
This one is important, and I wish that I could get this across to people more. When you are evaluating a dog training program, and I'm with you, like, because I really want to make sure that everything that I ever buy or put money into, I get a tremendous amount of value for. Whether that's frugal or I'm just cheap, whatever it is, right? I got it. But when you are evaluating a really high quality dog training program, people get all wrapped up into all of these different things. One thing I want to point out is a lot of times the price comes down to the amount of time and repetitions and all these other things that go into working with this dog. It's not just about teaching them sit in the living room in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That is not what a dog trainer should be doing when you're putting your dog into a program. Mm-hmm. Everyone can teach their dog to sit. Most people always do teach their dog to sit before I ever get there.
Yeah.
It's not, and if they can teach them to sit, you can teach them to down. If you can teach them to down, you can teach them to go in the crate. It's all the same thing.
Right, but as soon as a dog doesn't want to lay down, people are like, oh, they don't want to do that.
Yeah, they don't want to do that. So where I'm going with this is that it is incredibly difficult for me to explain to someone that even though your dog sits every time you say sit, they still need 100 times.
Yeah.
And this is frustrating to people because they're like, but he already knows that. I need to teach him something else. I'm like, but you're missing proofing because you need to take him to sit outside and then take him to sit in the back of the car and make him sit at the coffee shop and make him sit everywhere. Those are the 100 repetitions.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think also the missing piece is people will tell their dog to sit, but like, when is the dog done sitting?
Right, because they don't have a real communication system.
Yeah,
either.
if you don't tell your dog you're done, then yeah, they're just like, sit and I'm done.
And I totally agree with you. I think that's a whole nother can of worms, right? That is a foundational communication issue. And you're right. Because when is your dog done?
But that's what a lot of people mistake of like, well, my dog doesn't know sit. Well, no, they just think they can sit and then they're done.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Right. Because you've never been clear about when the end is.
The duration portion. Yeah.
Good point. Back to the point on repetition though. Proofing requires more repetition than you think it does. Mm-hmm. Because you've got to change it and do it again. And you've got to change it and do it again. And then change it and do it again.
Yeah.
That's proofing. So, okay, last point on this. I didn't have it written down, but I want to try to talk through this. This is difficult for me to, it's difficult for me to like explain. I've tried a bunch of different, like ways to explain something. Excuse me.
Explanations.
Hold on a second. No. When you explain a picture, what is it called?
Descriptions.
Nope.
Well, I don't know. I'm not good at this when you put me under these tests. Every time you try to get me to think of the word, I never think of it. Depiction.
Nope. When you draw parallels with a story or a picture to get your point across.
Comparison.
You're like not good at this at all.
I'm not. I never get it. I try it all the time.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm like,
Now we can't stop laughing about it. Enough.
Okay. I'm going to continue on. So, when we are trying to teach distance, duration, and distraction, there's 3 different variables. You can't increase all of them at the same time. So, we increase 1. We do distance. Okay? Mm-hmm. Great. We get to a certain distance. So, let's say I'm going to use percentages. We're going to try to analogy. That's the word. Thank you. Great job.
Comparison's pretty freaking close.
Analogy.
Analogy.
That was the word. All right. So it just like comes flying across the room.
Yeah.
Hits you in the head.
Right.
So from 0% to 100%, there's 3 progress bars. And each progress bar, we're going to add to 1 at a time. So we start dialing in the distance. We get a little further, we get a little further, we get a little further. The problem with that is for you to get further, what are you also dealing with?
Increasing duration.
Exactly, because it takes you longer to get back and forth. So I recommend that you start with duration before distance. Mm-hmm. So we start with us right next to the dog.
Yeah.
We ask for a sit or we ask for a down. I like working proofing with down first because we're also incorporate that into place. We also incorporate that into impulse control, and it does a bunch of things for us. So I like to teach the down and then start working on that distance, duration, and continuation type marker words in a down. Mm-hmm. So now we've got our dog in a down. I'm standing right next to them. I'm working on 5 seconds, then 6 seconds, then 10 seconds, 15 seconds. All right, so we're slowly dialing this progress bar up. By the time I get to, let's say, 10 to 20% of the bar, right, whatever that is, to whatever you're doing, I need to then start working on the next progress bar. But to do that, I need to dial the progress bar that I was already working on down.
Yeah.
Because I can't keep the same level of both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I come backwards, I turn it down on the duration, and now I start doing distance. Now I take a step away, and then I'm back. And then I take 2 steps away, and then I'm back. And then 3 steps away, and I'm back. So I'm slowly working on distance, but I'm also slowly incorporating that duration again.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, I've already worked on duration up to a certain point. So I can now increase the distance up to where my progress bar for distance meets the maximum progress bar for duration.
Mm-hmm.
Is that pictured good? I don't know. Cool.
Yeah.
So then, before I start pushing both of those progress bars way up there, because this is where people mess it up, they go, oh, I got so far away. This is so great. I'm going to go in the other room. And they disappear. And then they're like, I'm going to go outside. Mm-hmm. And they just blow one of those progress bars way out of proportion to the other two.
Yeah.
We want to keep these kind of close together. So by the time I hit 20% on one, I need to dial it back down, start on the next one. I get to 20% on that one. Great. Move 20% up on the other one. Great. Now they match. Mm-hmm. Now I start on that third progress bar, and I've got to dial both of those already full progress bars down and start on the brand new one. Now I'm standing right next to the dog again. And now I'm working on distraction.
Yeah.
And I start with an easy distraction, and then a medium distraction, and then a harder distraction. All of those things with no distance and no duration. Mm-hmm. Once I get that working, now I start dealing with the distance again, and then the duration, and then I start moving the bar up together.
Yeah.
Hopefully that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the easiest concept to understand, but the baseline is only move one bar at a time.
Yeah.
And don't peg one bar out as, oh, I'm an expert at distance, but I am horrible at duration.
Yep.
Right? You want to be good at all of them going forward.
Yeah. Equally. Yep.
All right. So before we go into listener projects, I'm going to unmute the chat. And if anybody listening has any questions, now is the time for them. Where is my Jeopardy music? Nope. Nothing works today. There it is. Found it. All right. Give you guys another 10 seconds. Any questions? If not, we will drive forward on listener projects. All right, no questions. And listener project number 1, the 3-location challenge. So choose one command your dog already knows well. Maybe it's a sit, maybe it's a down. You pick. I want you to practice it in 3 completely different environments this week. You choose the environments, but try to make them comparable. If you have been working in kindergarten in the living room, then we go to 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade. We don't just go right to college. Mm-hmm. So notice where your dog succeeds and then where they struggle. Adjust your expectations to match the environment so that way you're not just assuming that your dog should automatically understand. We want to meet them where they are in their level of communication.
Yeah.
All right. Listener project number 2. This is the second thing that you can do this week. The 3D progression. So we've talked about distance, duration, distraction. Choose one command. Place, sit, down, whatever it is. Spend one training session increasing only duration. Right? Start with duration. I already explained why. Go back and listen if it's confusing. Then spend the next training session only increasing distance, right? But not meeting the same duration. Finally, spend another training session adding in those mild distractions. And then last is when you can have a training session where you start to marry up all 3 of them. Only combine them when your dog is succeeding. That is what we want. All right. So with that, we are finished. That's all I've got for tonight. If you are listening to this and you're like, hey, that I would like to be part of that podcast, or I would love to get involved and be able to ask questions live, all you got to do is go to thepawprintacademy.com, sign up with a free email, and jump on the events and announcement section. You can RSVP for our next one. Should be next Wednesday on... Usually we try to do them on Wednesdays. Today we're actually
15th.
Recording on Thursday because we had a conflict. So Wednesday the 15th will be our next recording date. If you are interested in listening in or being part of that, that's how you engage it. If you've got questions or you heard something on here where you're like, that doesn't make sense, I don't understand, or I'd like more information, hit us up at team@thepawprintacademy.com. Once again, my name is Ryan. This is Brianna.
Hi.
Have a great night. Thank you, guys.
Night.